Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have something new to share with you guys today, and I'd like to introduce my 2005 Mini Cooper S. I'll just give you guys a walk around of the car. You can see it has the factory gloss black roof. This is called Pure Silver, I think. It has the 16-inch X-Lite factory wheels. You can see it comes with this factory roof spoiler. Factory dual tip exhaust. The car is almost completely bone stock. So this is a two-owner car. As I said, it's a 2005 model, so it has the facelift steering wheel. It's the 6-speed manual. Has the factory black leather interior, which is in really great shape. As you can see, the seats are looking awesome. This car has only got 70,000 miles on it, which is fantastic for a 20-year-old car. It was really difficult to find a car that had so little mileage. Most of the cars are 150 plus thousand miles. I haven't even detailed this car yet, but you can see inside all the door jambs, everything is lovely and clean. Even inside all of the hinges. It looks great. Previous owner was a lady. They had it for about 15 years, and they also knew the previous owners. The car was garaged its whole life, so the paint is in great shape because the sun hasn't blasted it. Again, I've not detailed the car yet. It's exactly as I've brought it home. I literally just hosed it down and wiped it off because it had some bird poop on it, which I didn't want to etch the clear coat. But I haven't actually given it any kind of detail, no spray wax, nothing. This is exactly how I brought it home. The front of the car, the paint looks very, very good. If you really go hunting for it, there is an occasional couple of small chips, but not much. The lower areas, I think, are, a little bit more here. There's a bit of, patina. A bit of light chipping here, so I'll probably get that lower bumper section repainted. I don't think the hood is going to need it. I don't think it's in bad enough of a shape to need to go that far. The hood on these cars also extends around the fender portion here, so I'm not too sure if I'm going to do the hood, but I'll definitely get that lower bumper repainted. These are the 16-inch X-Lite wheels. So these are standard on the Cooper S of that year. I think the 18-inch wheels that are like a multi-spoke were an optional upgrade. I will not be keeping these wheels, but they're not horrible. Yeah, they're not too bad. Factory brakes, although there are some mismatched rotors. I have some cross-drilled, something similar to power stop on the back. If we take a look up inside the suspension, which we might be able to peek through the wheel here, we can just about see I have some rev coilovers. Again, it's hard to see. If I zoom in, it doesn't make it any better, but there are some black and green colored coilovers on this car. It is the only modification. I'll try and get you guys a look up in there. It's very hard to see. Maybe there's a little bit of green there. You can see the adjusting height collars. So that's the only modification. They didn't really understand what they were. They just did it under advice of the garage because they had one of the shocks blow out, and so instead of replacing the factory one in the last year, they just decided just to do all 4 new shocks, and the garage said, well, actually, you can get some adjustable coilovers for not much difference in cost, and then you can also benefit from a little bit better corner control with the car. So a little bit quirky that it has coilovers on it, but the car is definitely unabused. I think it's actually closed. Let me just grab my little key here. There we go. Open this guy up. Yeah, it's definitely been a lady's car. You can see it came with the Panda headrest. There's a bunch of cleanup needed. She did have a small dog, so there's a few traces of dog hair, but surprisingly, all of the trim everywhere is perfect. There's no scratches, there's no wear really. Again, I have not in any way cleaned this car up yet. It is exactly as I brought it home. So it's a great example. We'll pop the hood. Actually, we'll do that whilst we're over this side of the car, because on the Minis, the hood release is actually on the passenger side. And I believe, this is my first time opening the hood, I believe the opener that I saw the guy do it is somewhere here. Let me see. Oh yeah, I can feel it's right there. Hopefully the gas struts are good. Yep, gas struts are good. Underside of the hood looks nice and clean. I mean, the engine looks really, really good. One upgrade, again, this was done under recommendation of the shop, was they changed to the alloy coolant tank because the plastic ones are prone to cracking. So that's a nice little upgrade. Everything else is completely bone stock. For anyone who is not familiar with the Mini Cooper S, this is a supercharged 1.6. So it has an Eaton supercharger right here on the front of the motor. Obviously you have your intercooler on the top. And yeah, this car is completely bone stock. So it puts out about 170 horsepower in the facelift car, which this one is. 2005 was the facelift for these cars. So it has the slightly upgraded supercharger with Teflon coated blades. And they also did, I think, a revision on the computer. So the tuning may be a little bit different. And so the power output is just a touch higher, about 10 horsepower, I believe, than the pre-facelift 2002 to 2004 cars. So yeah, it's a good starting point. These are just great little cars. I used to have one many years ago. Mine was a 2003, but it was the John Cooper Works edition. So it had the 210 horsepower package from the factory. It's actually a dealer installed package, and you would have the badging here to say Works edition, and again it would say Works here. And they were individual serialized cars to show that it was a genuine Works car. I couldn't find one when I was searching for an affordable project car with semi-low miles. I didn't want to pay, you know, $15,000+ for a super low mileage car with, let's say, 30,000 miles on, because most of those cars go through Bring a Trailer and auction sites like that. Because I think regardless of the mileage, because these cars are 20 years old now, they're going to need maintenance. There's no get out of jail free card with these. You're going to need to keep on top of them if you want to drive them regularly. So I think this is a really good middle ground. 70,000 miles, factory everything, and it has great service history. That was one of the reasons that I decided to go for this car. Every year they had a list of things done, brake pads, all the fluid changes, had the headliner replaced recently, which is really nice because they tend to sag. The suspension was all changed. You can see it's adjustable. They had no idea how to adjust them or what they were for really, but I'll be leaving it as it is for now. I did notice during my initial inspection, you can see here, there is a little accumulation of what looks to be dried dark fluid. This is the upper hydraulic engine mount. They do seep over time, so this is definitely ready for replacement. And so that brings me to the first list of things that I have for the car. So we'll go over to my workbench here. So I've made a little list. My daughter's called the car Mini, so that's what I've titled the car for now. You can see motor oil, transmission oil, motor mounts, fuel filter, cabin air filter. I'm going to service the brakes because I have mismatched rotors, so I'm going to upgrade all of them. And then of course we'll do new wheels and tires. So this is the haul that I have for now. The new upper engine mount, the new lower engine mount, gearbox oil, which was on recommendation from the Mini Owners Forums, the Redline MTL in a 75/80 grade. This is apparently fantastic for the gearbox and it feels really good with shifting. The European grade Castrol Edge in 530. The car takes just over 5 quarts, so I got 6 just to make sure I have plenty. Small pump just to allow me to get the gearbox oil in without any hassle. This is the cabin air filter. It is super long. And this is a replacement engine filter. Just went for a straight normal Wix one. I'll be changing the oil every 6 months, so I didn't see the need to do anything too fancy with the filter. The Wix ones work just fine. Comes with a new O-ring. And yes, I have a new oil drain plug magnetic, the correct pitch, which I think is 14 by 1.5. Yep, comes with new crushable washers. So this is my first round of kind of, you say mods, but this is my first round of maintenance, just the basics to get the car cleaned up. And yeah, just off to a good start with it. Like I said, the car is really well serviced, so I think that it's not going to really need the engine oil. It was done within the last 6 months, but I would like to just put my own fresh fill in it. I would imagine the transmission oil is original, and the fuel filter is probably almost certainly original. So we're going to do those as well. But just for today, I'm going to get the car up on jacks and I'm going to swap out this upper and lower engine mount. Upper one is right here, held in with a couple of bolts that go towards the cylinder head. One bolt here on the kind of the strut tower. And then the lower mount, which we may or may not be able to see from this angle. Probably not. No, it's going to be tough to see. The lower mount is kind of smack bang in the middle on the bottom of the engine near the subframe, so I'll be able to get to it once we're jacked up. So I will show you guys the parts as I replace them. And yeah, just a bit of an introduction as well as some maintenance just to get started on the project. So I just jacked up the car, slid under some race ramps, so that way I can be 100% sure I'm not going to have axle stands that give out on me. I just don't really like axle stands, but sometimes you have no choice. So as you can see, right here is that lower engine mount. So I'm going to inspect it and see if it needs replacing now or not. One of the things that I did like about this car was that the owner said it was completely free of oil leaks. And I've had this car parked up in my driveway for the last couple of days, and I did check my driveway pavers and they are completely bone dry. So even though there is a little bit of oil, perhaps from previous oil leaks, this car is 20 years old. It's definitely not bleeding any oil currently because my driveway is completely dry. So that's a good sign. It's looking pretty clean under here actually. I did obviously get underneath the car and check it to the best of my ability before purchasing, just to make sure the undercarriage did not have any damage. So yeah, it's looking good under here. So I'm actually going to start with the upper engine mount, which will require supporting the engine and just jacking it up a touch just to take the weight off the upper mount. So I'm going to slide my jack under the front, and that will allow me, sorry for my fingers getting in front of the camera there, that will allow me to undo the bolts and swap this mount out. So yeah, that's going to be the first job. And then I'll also just clean this chassis leg here so that it's nice and fresh. So yeah, I'll get back with you guys shortly. So the engine is supported. I just used a small piece of wood on the bottom of the sump. Just gave it just enough a little bit so that it raised the engine just about 1/4 of an inch, so I could see that it's bearing the weight, so to speak, taking it off the upper mount. I just loosened this upper nut. I took off the grounding strap. We have 2 bolts on each side here going towards the cylinder head, 1 on the strut tower, and there's a bolt on the underside that I'm going to have to crawl under. It's an E12. I have to reach it on the underside of that chassis leg, then this upper mount will come out. All right, so underneath the car, I was able to take out this E12 long nut, bolt that goes up through the mount. I have the strut tower bolt removed. I just completely slackened these off. As you can see, the engine is now supported by this jack. So I'm going to basically leave the mount in place. I don't think I really need to completely withdraw it away. I just need to lift this up just enough to clear the stud. It's a very short locating kind of nipple on the bottom that's threaded. So I only have to clear this much out of the strut tower, and then I can wiggle this new one in place. And then we should be good to go, and I can move on to the bottom one. So yeah, I'll show you the finished install. A lot of cleanup needed once this is finished. It looks disgusting, but yeah, it should be straightforward. So I just wiggle the old mount out. I would assume this is original. It is mini branded. You can see there the stamping. So did get some oil dropping out through the bottom after I'd undone the long stud going in, which I had to clean up. So it's definitely been leaking, but I think it was almost completely empty because of how much was on the tower there. And I don't know how much movement this is supposed to have, but if I feel the old one, and then we come over here to this shiny new one, this feels very strong. I cannot even move that off center, whereas the other one, I can freely move it from side to side a good 1/2 inch. So this should definitely help the engine, probably help transmission feel as well by also reducing the lateral movement from the bottom. So yeah, let's get this new guy in and move on to the underside. All right, there we go. Brand new upper engine mount is in place. I have all of the bolts torqued down. They are 50 foot-pounds for the strut tower, the ones going to the cylinder head, and also the E12 coming up through the bottom. So that guy is all done. That should be good for hopefully at least, I don't know, 10 years, I would expect. For something as robust as that, it should be. So let's see how easy the lower mount is going to be to change. I don't know when this guy was last done and what condition the rubber is in, but I'll find out once I have it off. So yeah, I'm going to move this jack out of the way and get straight to it. So now that I've finished with installing the upper mount, I just grabbed some of this super clean foaming degreaser and I completely soaked the chassis leg, used a wire brush and just completely scrubbed all of that caked on old hydraulic fluid, so that whole area looks 100 times better. And if it ever does start leaking in the future, then I will be able to see it. So yeah, on to the next job. All right, so we're under the car and we're at the lower engine mount. I just took loose the bolts on the back and the front of the mount. I also removed the mounting plate from the back of the sump, and I loosened and moved out of the way the power steering pump cooling fan. So that's usually just connected with 2 bolts. So I just undid those, swung it out the way, and just nipped it up again so I don't have to deal with disconnecting the electricals. So now this lower mount, there we go, should come out. So if I can just squeeze out here, you can take a look and see what kind of condition this guy is in. The good news is I don't see any cracks in the rubber, which is good. However, this does look like it is original equipment. So it is a good idea just to swap it out since I'm doing a fresh upper mount. So I'm getting a long-lasting life with both of them, hopefully. So yeah, we'll just throw the new guy in and we should be good to go. Where is the new one actually? The new one is over here. Let me just get it. So, yeah, not sure whether or not it will give much improvement in terms of movement. You can see there's perhaps a little bit of deformation to the rubber on the top of that area there on the bottom mount. Not sure. Anyway, new is always better. So we'll go in and then we'll be ready to do the fluid changes. All right, so lower engine mount. Sorry for the camera angle here. Lower engine mount has been replaced. I'm just tightening everything up and torquing it to spec. Whilst I have the power steering fan, cooling fan loose, I was just checking up the back of the block here to make sure I don't have any leakage coming down from the valve cover up there, and it all looks nice and dry. So I think any oil on here is residual oil from previous leakages, because it has had some gaskets replaced during the ownership. I saw that on the Carfax maintenance. So during its 20-year life, there has been some leakages. So I'm going to go ahead and just use a degreaser and clean this up. But everything else up there looks good. The oil pressure sensor up high, which is a common leakage point, does not seem to be leaking. I don't see anything coming down. So yeah, just a good opportunity to check the bottom of the car here. And obviously we're looking really good. Now we have the new lower engine mount in. I mean, the whole bottom of the car could really do with a cleanup just from, like I said, 20 years of driving. But for the most part, it's actually in really good shape. Aside from just a little bit of grease to clean up, it's looking good. You can see there, that's the electric power steering pump right there. So yeah, I'm going to button this up, torque it down, and I'll be on to the fluid changes. Right, now that sump bolt was the tightest I have ever undone in all my years of working on cars. I was trying to be so careful not to risk breaking or rounding off this nut. But thankfully, with some persuasion, I was able to get it off without breaking anything. So this will be interesting to see how this oil is. Say the power steering cooling fan is right here. Hopefully this isn't going to spray hard enough to hit the fan. It's an interesting location that they would put that right there. I don't think it will be enough of a stream. I'm just move my hand in front of the camera for a second so I don't get my hand underneath it, and we'll look at the oil as it falls out. Almost there, almost there. 1, 2, 3, anytime now. It's quite a long thread. Boom. I thought before my iPhone light was going to come on, but it's not. Yeah, disappointing. I was hoping my iPhone camera light would come on so that we could see the oil. So that's not giving me the best. You can kind of see at the bottom of the light there that it's kind of like a clear, darker brown color. So according to the Carfax, it was done about 1,000 miles ago, or 7 or 8 months. It was done at the start of the year. So that's not bad. That's all good. When I change the filter, I'm going to cut it open and take a look and make sure there's nothing nasty in there. But yeah, this looks fine. So yeah, we'll go ahead and let this drain out all the way, pull the filter out, and we'll get the engine filled up with 5.1 quarts of Castrol oil. All right, so this is the drain bolt from the sump that I removed. As you can see, somebody has used an incorrect wrench on it at some point and slightly damaged the shoulders. I got this new one, which is actually a 17mm bolt on the top, which is good because it gives you more to, get onto with your socket. Magnetic, obviously, and has a crushable washer. So go ahead and throw this guy in, and that'll be good for next time. So I almost got ahead of myself. Before I can put the fresh oil in, I needed to put a fresh oil filter in, which on these cars is located next to the exhaust manifold kind of on the side of the engine over here. You can just about make out those lines going to the oil cooler right there. And I pulled out the oil filter. It's inside here, so I have a brand new one with a new O-ring. So we're gonna quickly switch this out, and then we'll be ready to put a fresh fill of oil. All right, new oil filter is in, tightened up. As you can see on the engine cover here, on the intercooler cover, it says there, Mini recommends Castrol. That's why I went with this particular oil. So I do like using these funnels that have the small little gauze in the bottom, just to make sure it catches anything that could possibly go in there. You know, if you got like a little bit of the tin foil sealing wrap or something that got stuck in there, you would not want that going into the engine. So yeah, straightforward stuff, but wanted to mention it since I'm in here doing the job. So as soon as this is done and I've added 5 quarts, I will get underneath the car, drain the transmission oil, fill it up, and then I'll do a level check once the engine's idled for a minute or two, and then I'll recheck on the dipstick. But I'll just do this first, and then we'll be good to go to the transmission. All right, so here we are underneath the car. We're on the driver's side transmission. So obviously with the drain plug here, the filling plug is up at the top. So I just broke loose the fill plug. You should always do that first, because if you have a problem with undoing the fill plug and you've already drained it, then you've got issues. So I just broke the filling loose. That's good to go. So I'll do the drain plug removal now. I have my trusty catch drain bucket here, so I'm going to drain it off into that. I'm not sure if these have a crushable washer like the engine sump plug does, so I'll take a look when it comes out and I'll replace it if necessary. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to film this whole process. It's quite simple. I'm just going to pump using this kind of little hand pumper into the fill hole until it starts to basically spill out, and then you know you've added enough. So yeah, I'm just going to knock it out and we'll be all done with the fluid changes. So for anyone interested, this is the contraption I'm using to pump the oil into the transmission. Haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it's going to work. A little bit janky. This is supposed to go over this threaded section here, but the actual diameter of the tube here is a little bit too wide to go all the way in. But the tube inside does reach the bottom, because it comes with a clear tube that you push onto the bottom of this upper section. So hopefully we should be able to empty this entire canister. Capacity is a little under 2 quarts for the transmission oil, so with 2 of these little jugs. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it a whirl and hopefully it works. Okay, so I'm all finished with the transmission fluid filling. I just started the engine and let it run for about 20-30 seconds, shut it off, checked the level, needed a little bit more, so filled that up. I think we're all good. I did go underneath with some Adams all-purpose cleaner and completely wiped down the oil pan as well as much of the surrounding casings as I could, so that if any future oil leaks do happen, which I'm sure they eventually will, I'll have a good idea of where they are coming from. But for now, it's looking nice and clean on the underside, and it looks like everything is nice and leak-free from today's work. So we'll go over to the list. So I can do motor oil is done, transmission oil is done, both of the motor mounts are done. I'll throw the cabin air filter in just a minute, and the brakes will be in the future, as will the wheels. So tomorrow I will do the fuel filter. I have run out of time today, but I think that is a really good start. It's always nice to just start ownership with fresh fluids, even if it has records of a garage having changed them recently. I don't trust them. I want to know that I've put fresh fluids in them. Certainly that transmission fluid was original, so that's going to hopefully be good for the lifetime that I have the car, for the next 20-30,000 miles or so. And yeah, everything is looking good. So I really appreciate you. Anyone who subscribes, you guys are absolutely awesome. I have lots of cool stuff coming for this car. We'll do some aesthetic stuff as well as performance. You can get some good power out of these engines. The supercharger, you can upgrade to a smaller pulley, a tune, injectors, spark plugs, all that good stuff, and they become really fun little hatchbacks. So lots to come. I think this is going to be a great project, and I'm excited for it. So I'll be back with you guys really soon.